Hello, everyone. Welcome to Share Inspire Foundation. Here is part 2 of the story of a lady who was raped at a very young age. She ended up getting pregnant and also caught HIV. Listen to the continuation of her story.
Our life continued, and at some point we were able to afford rent. We rented a grass thatched house, but we were sleeping on boxes with clothes, as we would cover with clothes as bed sheets. But at that time we felt that at least we were able to afford food to eat. After that, I went and asked for a job in another restaurant, and it was a little big than the one I started with. So I joined there and worked for about a year while washing plates. And then the owner of the restaurant allowed me to join the kitchen area. So in the kitchen area, I was able to understand and learn how to make food and snacks. So I learned that, and I could do that. So after some time, since in this other big restaurant, customers would come up too late in the night. So one day, during my usual work, after work, I left work at about 11 p.m. and by that time, most people are asleep in our little town here. So when I left, the streets were empty. I was heading home to sleep. On my way, I met some gangsters who grabbed me and raped me. I was so helpless since I was young and I had no energy. At that time, I was about 14 years. So when they did whatever they wanted on me, I left helplessly, crying, up to home. So when I reached home, my brother was so furious with what had happened to me. He came back to the street. He asked me to tell him where that had happened. So I told him. He ran, wanting to meet those people and maybe beat them. But he couldn't get them. So he came back home. And since we were both young, we had nothing to do. That was it. After some time, I started feeling weak and sickly. So the owner of the restaurant asked me if I had any problem. I told her what had happened to me, and by then it was around a month after. Since she's a police officer, she asked me why I couldn't tell her the story, but I just kept quiet. So she reported the case to police and asked me if I could identify them. But when these people got to know the information that they were looking for them, they all left that hometown. And so they went unpunished up to today. So after that, this police woman helped me and advised for me to go to the hospital. So when I went there, I was tested. I was diagnosed with all diseases, but unfortunately, they got me with HIV positive. It was so hard for me to believe that. It took me a long time to accept what had happened to me. I rejected myself, but just because I had just one person besides me who was my brother, he kept on comforting me, and that is how I managed to live from that time. On top of being diagnosed with HIV positive, I had also conceived a baby. We had nothing to do, but I had to carry the baby. So the owner of this restaurant helped me to join TASO, which is the AIDS support organization in Uganda. So I went and joined them, and I started on the drugs that they administer the AIDS patients. After a short while, I continued to work in that very restaurant. And then there was a certain man who came and felt, and when he learned of my story, I thought maybe he was a husband for me. So he came, approached me, and convinced me. So I was so convinced that he was the husband I was meant to have. So he took me to his home area, introduced me to his people, and after some time, I conceived my second child. When my child was around 1 month, one day, since he was a business person, he would move up and down. So one day, when he was on his way to do his business, he had sent his brother with food for lunch for me. When he came, the brother told me that he had seen something happen around town when on his way, but he didn't bother to know what it was. After some time, after about 2 hours, I started seeing people coming around, coming where I was. His sister came, the aunt, and some other people. I was confused with what had happened, because this man was the whole hope that I had got now, because he helped me with my first child and also my brother. He had started paying fees for my brother and being responsible for his welfare also. So he was a real relief to our suffering and pain. But on this fateful day, when his people came around, I had no idea of what was happening, only to realize a car approaching and people saying that there was an accident that happened in town. When they brought the dead body home, I went and peeped and saw that he was the one. He was dead. This broke me down totally and shattered all my dreams. After some time, we went for the burial in his village. We buried him, and now since I wasn't officially married to him, his people told me that I wasn't meant to be theirs, and that the person who had taken me there is gone. So there was no need of me continuing to stay around. Again, we're brought to zero, with no one to help and no hope in life. But since we were two and would encourage each other, my brother came back home from where my husband had enrolled him, since we had no school fees. I went back to the restaurant that I got, the restaurant of the police officer. I went back there, and fortunately she accepted me back to her restaurant. Because she said that was the only way she could help me out of my whole situation. Life was very hard, but we had to push on in life. So as time went on, I kept going for my medicine in the AIDS support organization. And one time, they wanted some youth to go and train them in different courses that would help them in life. So I was lucky to be among those youth. They asked me what course I would go and train in, and I told them that they would train me in catering. So they took me for about a 6 months course, which helped me also in understanding how to make different dishes. So after, when I came back from there, still I came back to this very restaurant and I began cooking food which the customers would like. So that made the owner of the restaurant to like me most and I started cooking. So after some time, I started to be invited to cook in parties. So that helped me, that elevated me a bit and changed our life somehow. So with that, I was able to pay my brother's school fees, and now by that time, he was in high school, in the advanced level. So I paid all his school fees, and later he joined university. He completed, and now he's also doing something for his life. And for me, I continued with my cooking. After a short while, I bought for myself some utensils that could help me, such that when people invite me to cook in their weddings and their ceremonies, I would not struggle to look for utensils for cooking. So I bought them for myself, and now I go for outside caterings. That's how my life has been going on, and that is how I also help myself to pay my children's school fees. Still, life is not all that easy, since I don't have enough necessities that can help me to do whatever God has blessed me today. So, the reason I'm sharing this story is to inspire someone out there that no matter how hard life becomes, no matter how hard you struggle, or how things turn in your life in a way you couldn't even expect, just persist in it and keep praying. And also, I'm also sharing this story to tell the world, or to ask people of the world out there if there is anyone who can help me. Paying my children's school fees is still hard for me, since I don't have a proper way of earning. These ceremonies come once in a while, and you keep gambling in life throughout. Though I'm somewhere, but I'm not yet that okay. My 2 children are school going, and I'm trying all I can. But if there is anyone out there who can give me the necessary assistance to help me pay for their school fees, I would thank them. I thank them in advance, for whatever help, even in prayers for my life. That is my story, and I hope that it inspires people of the world. Thank you.
We thank you very much for listening to that lady's story. If at all you're touched and you'd like to go an extra mile to help that lady, do not hesitate to contact us at shareandinspirefoundation@gmail.com. We'll put our contact details in the description box below. And also, if at all you're touched by any of the other stories that we've shared on our YouTube platform, also do not hesitate to contact us. And as well, if you know someone out there who might want to share their story with the world, do not hesitate to let them know about the Share and Inspire Foundation. We thank you very much once again for listening. Have a good evening. Bye.